stand on your own as a goalkeeper, cut off from the rest of the team, you take abuse from opposition fans. Your job is to prevent the very reason people come to games. You're there to stop goals. You put yourself in the way of boots, shots, and no matter what you do, you always get criticised. So why on earth would you choose to be a goalkeeper?
Obviously, when you're young, you don't think about those stuff. You do it for fun. And obviously, when I started, I was 5 or 6 years old, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun to train, to play, and at the time, obviously, you don't think about the consequences down the line. But obviously, yeah, like what you said is everything is right. We stand on our own, and we are the first ones to get criticised if we make a mistake, and because nobody ends up in a goal or whatever. So yeah, for me it's the toughest. It's the toughest, but it's as well is one of the nicest. To think that you have to be very, very tough mentally to be a goalkeeper.
What do you enjoy about the job?
I think everything. Obviously, training is one of the for me. I really enjoy training with the GKs and obviously with the team. And on Saturdays, it's just that focus that you have to be always 100% focused on the ball, and you cannot switch off in that aspect. And sometimes you are the hero as well in aspects that you can win points, you can win matches with your saves or with everything, your actions and balls in behind and everything. So it's that I think I enjoy the most. It's just obviously playing on the Saturday.
What is that like as a goalkeeper? You sort of train. You've got your own kind of little group that you train with. What's that like, and what enjoyment do you take from that? But you're training with the people that are competing for your job.
No, I think for me it has to be a healthy environment for everybody, especially for the lads that unluckily they don't play, and we have to see us as teammates, not as enemies in a way. Is the gaffer that picks the team, and is the gaffer is the one that picks who plays and who's not. And it's just like I said, it has to be for me a healthy environment that everybody is at one and trying to push each other. So if it's a healthy environment and we push each other, we're gonna get better and better and better, and the relationship inside and outside the pitch is gonna be magnificent, and that's gonna push us a level even more, and it's very important to have that relationship with your teammates.
And what are the technical demands of being a goalkeeper now? Like, you know, playing out from the back, you've basically got to be as good as an outfield player on the ball, but with those technical demands, there's a higher risk for errors, especially when you play for a team that plays out from the back. What is it like? What are the technical demands put on you, and how do you cope with that?
Obviously, the football has changed, especially in the goalie perspective. I think we get demanded a lot more. You said we got to be good with the ball at our feet, and obviously different teams, different demands. But in my team, I've got a lot of demands to be one of the first attackers and the last defender. Same with for example, with the striker, he has to be the first defender. Do not try to concede a goal. But the demands are higher now than what it was back then. You get asked to play out from the back, to sweep balls out from the long balls. You're going to take good decisions. You're going to stop obviously the main thing is to stop the ball going back in the net, but the demands right now, they're much higher than what it was before.
Is there like a tactical demand on you now as well? Like, are you involved in, like, I don't know, like a game model, or, you know, you're part of a tactical plan rather than just the man at the back who saves the shot?
Yeah. We have our ways to, for example, to play out from the back or even set pieces. I get used a lot on, for example, on kickoffs or even on long throw-ins and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just the goalie position now is not just the last one and just there to play to stop shots to go on the net. I think it's more nowadays is a bit more involved with the team and with the patterns that we work for to play out from the back, or even the solutions that when we go long. And I'm trying to be the first attacker and the last defender for the team.
And every goalkeeper, you know, part of your job is dealing with mistakes.
Yeah.
And everyone always focuses on them. So when you make an error, how do you A, deal with it in a game, and then B, recover from it to the next game?
So everybody makes mistakes, especially in a game. There's loads of mistakes, but obviously if a goalie makes a mistake, normally he ends up in the back of the net. So you have to think about that you cannot do anything about it and just focus on the next action. You cannot focus on the past or on the future. You have to focus on the present, and the best important thing in football is the next action. It's not what's going to happen or what's happened. So you have to forget what happened and just carry on from there, and obviously believe in yourself and try to forget your mistake. It's just done. You cannot do anything about it. You just learn from it after the game. Just the important thing is, like I said, is the next action. And obviously when you recover from it after the game, and you're trying to learn. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn, and just try to not make that mistake again and trying to learn from it. So that same situation, what I could have done better, what I could have done different, and if anyone can avoid that situation, what was my thoughts at the time, and explain everything with the goalie coach and the staff, the department, to try and find a solution from there, and obviously try not to make the same mistake again.
What about dealing with all the noise? Like in game, you make a mistake, the fans are behind you, they're letting you know about it.
I try not to listen what the fans are saying, and obviously it's easier when the ball is in play to focus just on the game. It's just when there's a stoppage and maybe like a sub or whatever, and then obviously you hear a little bit more of the crowd or what they're saying or whatever, but just try not to listen to them, because the main thing is what you think about you and what beliefs you have on yourself, and what the gaffer thinks about you, no matter what the fans think. Just try to be focused on the game and not listen to them.
What about the noise on social media, or say you put on TV and a striker that's never played a minute in goal says, "You should have saved that, it was at his near post"?
I think from everything, I think that it has started changing, because it's like a goalie just criticises a midfielder or a striker. So I think that will change with the years. Trying to put more goalies on TV as pundits, and trying to see a different way of seeing a goalkeeper, but obviously not trying to think about it or listen to it, but trying not to read social media or the only thing I try to or I listen to is what the gaffer says and what my goalie coach says, and what I think about myself. I just try not to focus too much on the outside world.
Have there been any sort of tough periods in your career or mistakes that were kind of high profile that you had to deal with, and how did you deal with them, and did you have any strategies for dealing with those disappointments?
Obviously, I would say the first one that comes to my head is the playoff final, which I don't think is a mistake. Is a lack of awareness, in my opinion. People have different opinions, and I know what the gaffer thinks about it, and I know that situation obviously it was very, very tough to deal with, because obviously it was the playoff final, trying to get promoted, and you can see the goal like that, where I've been in the same position the whole season, and I prevented so many goals from those type of crosses, and then he decided to have a shot, and he went in. It's just that lack of awareness of what could happen, but obviously that's a learning curve that I have to be more aware on those situations, to not leave my that side of the goal a bit too exposed from those situations. And obviously what the gaffer said after the game, that he wanted me even higher in that position next year. That obviously reinforces yourself, and that's just the belief that he has on me. And so obviously that was one of the I wouldn't say it's a mistake, it's just a lack of awareness, but obviously people think it's a mistake.
And how long did it take you to sort of come to terms with that and move on? Obviously kind of break for the summer. How did you move on from that, and then be back ready even better for the start of the following season?
Obviously that was an odd situation, because obviously it was the playoff final. We had a few days off straight after, so it was a little bit easier to focus and then to forget what happened on the game, and I just spend 2 or 3 days just trying to evade myself with family and friends in that situation. And then after that, We had 11 days off, and just after that, I just watched the game back and see what I could have done different, and trying to learn from it, like I said before. And that's it. It was tough to think that we lost the playoff final, but it was not only just that goal that it went in, so it was something that can happen.
That takes quite a personality type to do that. Like, I'd find it hard to look back at something that I kind of felt. I felt the way you did about it, and I always think that maybe that resilience as a goalkeeper, that like it takes a special type of personality. Like, would you say like is that the mindset of a goalkeeper, to be able to deal with that? Because there's so much pressure on you, and if you do make a mistake, it leads to a goal.
Yeah, obviously nobody wants to see something that you're doing wrong. But if I don't watch that action or any action that I've done wrong or I could have done better, I will never learn. And those mistakes are there to make you better. If you don't make mistakes, like I said before, you don't learn. So you have to watch it, and you have to think different type of situations that could have happened if the ball went inside the box, and I catch the goal and I catch the ball. I will never learn that action, that I need to be more aware on that thing. So obviously I take full responsibility, but it's something that I need to see to improve.
And then, how do you, like, as a collective, as a sort of a group of goalkeepers, are there any things that you do? Like, do you have a sports psychologist here? Like, how do you support each other, review performance? How do you all work together to support one another?
Basically, that's just it comes from the goalie coach as well. What type of environment he wants us on his sessions, and we have a laugh. We get along with each other. Like I said before, you don't have to see your teammate as your enemy. It's your teammate, and he wants the best for you and for the team. The one that picks the team is the gaffer. So you have to see as your teammate and as your friend, and the goalie coach has to thrive that and to say, listen, we are here to work to make everybody better, and the sessions are there to support each other and not have that. How can I say it, that bad relationship between each other, because you are fighting for the same spot, but it's not your teammate's fault that you get picked ahead of him. So you just have to try to have the best time and learn from it.
What's it like when you make a save that, on the flip side of that, making a save that wins you the game or is crucial to that, and all your teammates are jumping on you, and you know, like you make one of those saves where the ball goes out for a corner and you see everyone rush over to the keeper. What's that feeling like? No,
obviously that feeling is really, really good, because obviously that's encouraging and like it gives you like even a little bit mental boost in a way, and a physical boost, because they just congratulations that you have saved that ball to win the game, or to not concede a goal, or in the last few minutes or whatever. But I try obviously when that happens, it goes out for a corner, that's when they can play quick and try to organise the defence very, very quick. But no, it's like, I wouldn't say it's like scoring a goal, but there's some saves that are match-winning saves, and obviously the teammates, they thank you, and it's great to have that.
Does anyone out there, do they fancy themselves as goalkeepers? Any of the other
I've seen a few. I think I've seen Bita. I've seen Saman going in goal. Rico, but Rico's not very good. Yeah, I think that sometimes we just mess about. That's for the clubs, and they can have shots and everything. But I think Bita is quite alright. He could do a job. Yeah.
I bet they think that it's easier than it is.
Yeah. That's what they think. They think, oh, you just catch it, kick it, and then that's it. And they think the training is easier, but no, I think it's one of the toughest. Even in the sessions, we get battered every day, and you have to be ready for everything. And they think it's easier than what they think. But if you go in goal, everything is not easy as you look from the TV.
There's two more questions and then some quick social stuff. Is like, what do you think what's the hardest part of being a goalkeeper?
Just, I think obviously the mental aspect of the game. When you, obviously what you said about making a mistake or whatever, you feel alone in a way, because all the bad things goes straight to you and to your head, and you have to be very, very strong-minded to not let that affect you.
Do you remember how you felt in that moment, the Fulham goal? Immediately after it happened, do you remember how you felt?
I felt fine. I literally felt, because I knew that I could have done better, but I couldn't let that let me down, because we were in the extra time of the playoff final, and that could have turned in a way. It was just before the final whistle of the first half, and I couldn't let that let me go down, because if we score a goal, we were back on the tie. So I felt fine. It was just after the game, obviously. I could have done better, and I just let you down a little bit. But obviously, having the support of the gaffer and the teammates and everybody, it was very comforting.
Was the hardest part in the dressing room or after? Like, when was probably the moment you felt worst about it?
After a few days. It's not right at the moment. It's after a few days, because obviously right at the moment there's loads of emotions going to your head, and then when obviously it's a different situation, because we were off straight away, and there was no video or whatever. I just had to look at it myself, and then after a few days I look it back, and that's when it hits you a little bit that I could have done better, and if I did better there, we could have got promoted. And it was just the scale of the situation.
Is being a goalkeeper the hardest job in football?
Sorry, say that again?
Is being a goalkeeper the hardest job in football?
I think so. I think it's the hardest position. Basically, you're alone. You feel alone in the game. So at some point, you are the pinpoint of, if you make a mistake, you're focused on the goalie, and the demands are even higher. So you've got to be good at everything to be a goalkeeper, and I think you have to. For me, is the hardest position on the pitch.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.